Welcome to the Forge, my wanton wildlings. I'm your creepsmith, and I hope you like my work. Much has been made of a little acknowledged local access kids show called Cove. What was it made for? Was it something supernatural? Did it even really exist? Well, for one boy who encountered it, the sea of uncertainty has just gotten deeper. Today's tiny tale, Lullaby Rock, aCandle Cove Memoir, credited to Simon Korvacs. Just a little, in the right kind of way. Kids enjoy being scared. They don't find loud and horrific things fun, but if something gives off a vibe of the perfect proportion of creepiness, it'll turn a child's head instead of triggering his uneasiness and causing him to back away. It instills in him a sense of adventure so that he might find out for certain if there really is anything from which to back away. Cove did that for me. Maybe it was the weird puppets. Maybe it was the themes of haunted caves and murderous pirates and skin-grinding skeletons. Maybe it was the weird camera and the sound quality. Whatever it was, I was 5 years old in 1971 and caught the pilot one day while Mom was out running errands, and thus the dial was mine to turn. I came upon the show and I was instantly hooked. I've been reading up recently, my curiosity reignited and my caution diminished about this theory that the show was in fact just weak signal static. And the rumors about this screaming episode that apparently earned the Laughingstock and her crew an abrupt pull from the seas and the Channel 58 airwaves. I can tell you right now, it wasn't just dead air, wasn't just snow. However, I can't confirm the existence of episode 12 of season 2 because I didn't get a chance to see it, or for that matter, any of the episodes in the second season. After all, they only aired once. This is the story of why I missed them. On Tuesday, December 21st, 1971, I was driven home from school in my mom's clunky Volkswagen. Since there was nothing on that she was particularly interested in seeing, she would forfeit the television to me for an hour while she rode on her exercise bike in the basement. And of course, that day, just like several weeks leading up to it, the dial turned right to 58. Episode 6 of Season 1, I would later find out, was called The Ship Crash. Appropriately enough, the premise involves Percy musing about the lovely song of the Singing Dolphins. A woman is heard rhythmically cooing in the background of the show, and winds up falling asleep at the helm of the Laughingstock, apparently sleep steering, crashing her into a large, jagged rock jutting out of the waters in a corner of the cove. The rest of the episode involves Janice and Poppy frantically trying to repair the ship before it sinks, all while fighting off sleep. Further into the episode, they spot a strange tree growing near the peak of the mountainous rock, and decide it would make great torchwood for the distress beacons, so Janice goes to fetch it. On her journey, she begins to sleepwalk, which is how she comes across Susan Siren. Susan, like most of the other characters on the show, had a cheap but almost intentionally strange design. Unlike the other characters, she wasn't a puppet, but an actual actress with her body and face painted a sea-greenish pallor. Her lips were a vibrant orange to complement it. She was dressed rather, well, inappropriately for a children's show. Her breasts were only obscured by a metallic brassiere, small chains, maybe necklace chains, serving as the straps. Her bottom piece was also fashioned in this way, with a large, obviously papier-mâché chain attached to her iron panties and the rock behind her, attached and meant to shackle her there. The top half of her head, including her eyes and nose, was concealed by a headpiece fashioned to make her look more cartoonish. It also had that same pale green skin, as well as orange hair and large spherical orange eyes to match the lipstick. Susan explains to Janice that she was condemned to Lullaby Rock centuries ago when a fleet of ships almost crashed due to her hypnotic, sleep-inducing singing. Janice laments that she can't free Susan, but she promises to return to visit if Susan promises to lure another ship, without crashing it, to the rock to rescue them. Susan, of course, agrees and sings a peaceful song about your hard work at sea and how it has earned you a nap. That day, I came home from school especially drained. I remember that much. What happened in kindergarten that would leave a 5-year-old so exhausted has been lost to time, but I remember being really, really tired. So, taking Susan's advice, I switched from a sitting position on the couch to a reclining one and let my heavy eyes sink. Only seconds after my eyelids made everything dark, I heard the song end. And Susan boasted to Janice, "Now, watch this." My eyes fluttered open, eager to see what had happened, but I was somewhere else. The room was white, as were the sheets on the bed I'd apparently been tucked into. There were silver, boxy machines surrounding me, one of them beeping monotonously. A little tube poked into my arm and connected it to a hanging pouch of clear liquid. I wanted to touch my arm, but I was afraid it would hurt. I wanted to scream, but a large tube had been shoved in my mouth and down my throat. I wanted to cry and struggle and kick down the walls, but I was too weak, so I settled for sobbing instead. After a few minutes of this, a woman in a white dress rushed in and called for a doctor, who simply came in, studied me, and then turned to the phone and called my mother. And after I was unhooked from all the tubes and machines and wires, and she came, I latched onto her, exchanging with her happy sobs, and she sat me down to explain that I had been in a coma for nearly 2 years. So why is my curiosity only rekindled now? I suppose that I never really related that to the show. The doctors never gave a straight answer as to why this might have happened to me, so who else could know of one? I only started looking into it again about a week ago, around a month after Mom's funeral. I was going through some of her old tax receipts when I found an empty envelope from NASA, dated December 29th, 1971. It was one of those old government envelopes, the kind a check might arrive in. Suddenly a phone-in from Johnny Depp doesn't seem quite so bad, does it? Don't worry, we'll be seeing more from the Cove cast soon. Until next we meet, wildlings, stay scary and make the most of your nights.